The EU is preparing to deliver a slap in the face to Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. The European Commission will submit a legislative proposal for a gradual ban on the import of Russian oil on April 15th, 3 days after the parliamentary elections in Hungary, Reuters reports. The European Union is expected to bypass any attempts by Hungary and Slovakia to block the planned ban on the import of Russian oil by using a law that can be approved by a qualified majority of member states. At the same time, Ukraine has offered Hungary several realistic solutions regarding the Druzhba oil pipeline issue. This was reported by Ukraine's Deputy Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha, according to Politico. Sybiha emphasized that Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán is likely using the Druzhba oil pipeline for political purposes. Oil deliveries to Hungary and Slovakia via the Druzhba pipeline were suspended on January 27th when the pipeline was damaged as a result of a Russian strike on an infrastructure facility in Brody, Lviv region. Since then, transportation has not been restored, according to Telex. As Andriy Sybiha noted,
Hungary did not express any protest to Russia about this. They couldn't even bring themselves to say the word Russia. Double standards in all their glory.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian drones have struck the Kalykino oil pumping station in Tatarstan twice in recent days. This is an important hub for transporting oil from western Siberia and the Volga region, and it is part of the Druzhba pipeline.
A criminal complaint is being filed against Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico. The opposition party Freedom and Solidarity has announced its intention to appeal to the Slovak Prosecutor General's office over the government's decision to halt emergency electricity supplies to Ukraine. The party leader Branislav Gröling stated that the complaint intends to charge the Prime Minister with abuse of power, high treason, a terrorist act, and breach of duty in managing state property. On February 23rd, the Prime Minister of Slovakia announced that he had ordered the suspension of emergency electricity supplies to Ukraine since the supply of Russian oil through the Druzhba pipeline had not resumed. Meanwhile, Reuters reports that Hungary will have to part with Russian oil. The European Commission is preparing a legislative proposal for a gradual ban on imports. The document is planned to be presented on April 15th, 3 days after the parliamentary elections in Hungary. It concerns a complete halt of supplies no later than the end of 2027. At the same time, in the fourth quarter of 2025, the share of Russian oil accounted for about 1% of the EU's total imports. Previously, the European Union had already imposed sanctions on maritime deliveries. Now, Brussels intends to enshrine a complete rejection in law, even if the restrictions are revised in the future. According to sources, the initiative will be presented after the elections so as not to turn it into a factor in the election campaign. Budapest and Bratislava remain dependent on Russian supplies and oppose the ban. However, the EU expects to approve the decision by a qualified majority in order to bypass a possible veto.